Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla. This is Simone, and we are so glad that you are here today. Our goal today is to talk about some mental health related issues and hopefully start to break down some of the stigma surrounding them. So we're going to go to an interesting intersection today. We're going to go to that intersection, maybe originally we were talking about accountability and mental health, and I think it was accountability and culture, but I think I want to go accountability, culture, and mental health. Okay. So we'll make it like three roads converging type of a thing. And can you share a little bit about your perspective, your experience when it comes to those three things kind of converging together?
Yeah, actually what comes to mind initially is like the developmental side of things, like when you're growing up and you experience certain trauma at a young age, it's easy to point the finger and say, hey, my mom did this to me. But as you get older and you develop more and things change, and I think it's very important to acknowledge what has happened to you and also take accountability in how you can change the trajectory of your life.
Okay. Can you play that out a little bit more, like with some sort of example or a little bit more details? So, I love the language of what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you. Mm-hmm. So I think that's beautiful. I just don't want anyone, and I know this isn't your intention, that's why I'm going to ask you to do it. I don't want anybody listening to be like, well, wait, my mom abused me and I have something to be accountable for? There's something wrong with me? No, that's not what we're saying, and that's why I want you to explain yourself so that they can hear what I know you meant. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you grew up in a culture or a household where you were always verbally talked down against, and you were called, for example, called out of your name, like you were called vulgar names such as the B word or other
right.
names,
yeah.
or shame you for whatever reason, that's that side of things. But as you get older and your awareness may or may not increase, or you have different resources, and I just truly feel like it's very important to you get the help that you deserve and get the help that you need, and basically not conform to pointing the finger for your entire existence.
Okay, so really what you're saying is, yes, when you're a child, you may not have any control over that. In fact, chances are great that you don't,
yes.
Right? But as you grow, you can choose to continue to have that victim mentality,
yes.
right? And get stuck in what other people are throwing at you,
mm-hmm.
right? Or you can say, yeah, this isn't the way I want to live. Like, no, I'm not going to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a better way out. So that accountability piece is like, I get to have a choice in whether or not I'm going to stay in that victim,
mm-hmm.
or if I'm going to get out and start to grow, even though it would be super, it's going to be hard.
Yes.
But I think both are hard. To me, this is hard with no real hope in sight, and this
mm-hmm.
is just hard, and then there's hope in sight. At least that's the ideal,
yes.
right?
I like to say choose your heart. Like, are you going to choose the heart of knowing that this happened to you, acknowledging it and working and doing the hard work? And the hard work is therapy, spirituality, or however you choose to heal.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Right, yeah.
So
Okay.
You have to choose your heart. Or you could choose the heart of, like, finding outlets that may not be good for you.
Okay. So I think that's relevant across, obviously, all cultures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, something like that would impact one's mental health, and chances are, if somebody is calling you out your name, there are mental health issues at play there as well. In your lived experience, how does the African American, world perhaps differ or appear? I don't. Obviously, you've lived that experience. Clearly, I have not. But like, how do you see that then further informing situations like that?
I feel like in the African American culture, we have like this sweep under the rug mentality which causes us to not speak out. And we really have, like, one of the things that comes to mind when you say this is shut the F up, or even just like, don't go tell your grandma. It's like the silencing nature of our culture that makes
we
us
do not tell people
out.
About our business.
We don't.
Right, yeah.
What happens in this house stays in this house. That's one of the most popular ones. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that affects our ability to communicate what's going on internally, externally.
And under the best of circumstances, like the most ideal families, most ideal parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
To know that conversation around various things is not considered appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
That's detrimental all by itself in the best of situations. Now, you start going to the other end of the spectrum where if people are calling you out your name
Mm-hmm.
and they're cussing at you for all sorts of other reasons,
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine that the mentality that we don't talk about what happens in this house probably doesn't feel like a ton of bricks on somebody, or like they're imprisoned, or right?
Absolutely. Definitely imprisonment. It really feels like I'm caged up. I have to keep this in, and I'm going to hold on to this for as long as I can, and I'm in survival mode. That's what it translates to.
And what have you seen when people are in survival mode too long? What are some of the things that happen when they're in survival mode too long?
Survival mode looks like failed interpersonal relationships, failed academic success, inability to even keep a job, just non-functional, not living up to the best of your ability because you're doing just enough to get by.
Yeah. I tell my clients all the time, like, at some point these feelings and whatnot are going to come out. So we can keep pushing them down until one day that pressure cooker blows and,
Mm-hmm.
the whole world is shredded,
Yes.
including yourself. Or we could start choosing how they're going to be released. And obviously, if you don't have an outlet,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard. If you don't have anybody you can trust, if you don't see anybody that's like you,
Mm-hmm.
right, out there to share these things with, that's problematic. And I also wonder if it's problematic if I do see people like me and the motto is, don't share your stuff. Are they going to be, like, what's going to happen? Will they hear me, or will they go tell my family? I mean, things like, that's a big stigma.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you about this in session, will you go tell my family? No. That's an ethical no, right? But I can imagine that perpetuates, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I want everyone out there to know that therapy is confidential unless you're at serious harm, risk, or danger. And you can find the support and help that you really deserve.
Yeah. It's so important. You were talking about kind of these failed pieces in folks' life. Like, essentially, they're not working up to their potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would suspect, along with that pressure cooker example, that it probably looks like anger. And it also probably, and maybe I'm wrong, you correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
it probably also looks like perpetuating a generational thing. So my grandma did it, my mom did it, there's no other outlet, I'm so just overwhelmed with this stuff, I don't know any other way, and I do it.
Absolutely. And, one of the things is that it has become so much of a norm in the African American culture that we are labeled as angry people. We are labeled as abusers and all of these other things. But I will say that my generation, I'm very confident in, we are the generational curse breakers. And that's what you see. You'll see it all over social media. I live by that. A personal statement. I've had family not talk to me anymore because I feel like I have a voice and I use my voice for the betterment of my health. So, it's some pros and cons that comes with that. You got to kind of like pick your battle wisely.
Sure.
Pick your battle wisely.
I think I think I'm going to end there. So I guess I'm going to challenge everybody to be a generational curse breaker, right? Like whether you're of my generation or someone's generation, like we have a choice here that we can end that generational curse. And so, well, I would love to say that that story we talked about was unique to the African American community. It plays out in various ways, and all communities, unfortunately, some more than others. But that's a lot to take in. So be a generational curse breaker. All right. Yeah, that's right. Get the muscles going. So you can remember to change your thoughts and discover your potentials and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being and being a generational curse breaker. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye.